Welcome to Security Guy Radio as is 2016 in beautiful, sweaty Orlando, Florida.
Sweaty is right.
Fred, welcome to Security Guy Radio. What's the name of your
Thank you
company?
very much. Trike.
Trike, okay.
Trike. So Trikke, that's the key there.
All right.
And the company's been around for quite some time now, 17 years. We started off with body-powered vehicles.
Now, what do you mean by that, body-powered vehicle?
So it's kind of like a bike is a body-powered vehicle.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So
okay.
the difference is that this is more of a skating motion. So it's full body and it's low impact. And we had an infomercial out for many years. So we were primarily, in the fitness, fun fitness category.
Yes.
You probably saw
I
an
remember,
infomercial many moons
That's
ago.
right. I remember that. I just remember the name from. Okay.
And then, it's one of those things where you have to sort of learn how to make it go, just like you have to learn a golf swing.
Was it the same brand back then?
It was the same brand.
Same
That's
brand. Okay,
exactly
that's what
right.
I thought. That's a very familiar name. All right.
So anyway, it was people were asking for electric assist. And then we wanted to accommodate that. And all of a sudden we realized we were in the transportation business now. So it was a pretty easy move to start to get into security, law enforcement, personal mobility, transportation.
Sometimes things drag into it, right? So
That's exactly right.
I just started doing this for fun, and now I'm a thing. Now I'm an industry. I didn't want to be, right? So I like the name. I like the brand. We're going to take a look at the actual device in a minute and see how it works. But tell us what the trends are in this business. So we just saw a robot here at As Is.
Sure.
There's an Allied Barton robot driving around, right? People are more mobile. Are guards in that good old-fashioned patrol being replaced with electronics and automation and things? I like this technology because really it speeds up the process of responding, gives you a higher profile, and makes people think, wait a minute, that guy's got some technology over there. He's just not a guard walking around with his cell phone or radio, right?
Right.
What are you finding the industry is leaning towards? Because the guard, this caters the guard business, as opposed to alarms and cameras and things like that.
Right, surveillance.
Yeah. So what is the industry asking for that's different than the previous years?
I think at the end of the day, technology is certainly having an impact on the entire industry, security, law enforcement, all of that, and technology can only go so far. I think that you're never going to lose the human component. I think law enforcement is finding that out. So even though you may have, we all remember the movie RoboCop.
That's right.
Right, and which was sort of the ultimate hybrid of human and machine. And what's interesting is that once you get rid of the human element, you can only go so far, because after a while, it is about controlling what people do.
It's about behavior. And
that's about behavior. That's exactly right. And though I think that there's a place for all this technology, at the end of the day, it's about what one human being is how they're going to communicate. So I'll give you an example. Some of our competitors out there, they make massive machines that are really only designed to take one person from point A to point B to point C. So it's a personal transportation device, and yet it's so bulky and massive that it sort of starts to change the nature of the interaction. And if somebody pulls up to you on this massive RoboCop-looking thing, is that going to make you apprehensive to want to approach that?
That's a very good point.
As opposed to something that's just a little less intrusive, that's much more maneuverable, that has much more capability, and yet doesn't give somebody that feeling like oppressive, kind of approach. And that's something that security and law enforcement both have to take into consideration. There are areas where they want that kind of really, overtly strong presence, and there are others where they want to be approachable.
I was a motor cop, and this reminds me as a motor, we wrote a lot of tickets. And then when we're done with our tickets, we want to look for bad guys, right? But motor cops are more approachable than the guy in the car.
Yeah.
The car's a barrier.
Yeah, for sure.
And people say,
you're in your own little
thing and your little fort. And then as a motor cop, you're more open, and people think motors are cool. And it's a conversation piece to make a connection with the public. So I look at your devices and I think the same thing. I think, a guard on that makes me think this guy's nimble, he's agile, he's in technology, he's paying attention, and I'm going to walk up and say, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not afraid to approach him that way. Are you finding that kind of a sell? It's kind of like a PR thing almost.
Well, I think so in some ways, because like I said, there are a lot of, take something like Segway, for example, which has that sort of mall cop kind of, a
Yeah.
lot of people,
Yeah.
it's
I don't
become,
like those. I
it's
don't know
become
why.
kind of funny, to some degree.
Right.
But then you have the other extreme where you've got these big, bulky, units, and, nobody's going to come up to somebody on this big, massive device. I won't mention the other companies, but they're not going to come up on some big, massive device and just say, "Hey, where'd you get that? That's cool," And they're not going to envision themselves on one.
That makes a lot of sense.
The fact that we have a consumer market and that people, over 17 years, there's been a little bit more familiarity. One of the things that all of our security patrol accounts clients is that, people that never came up to them before are now coming up with a friendly smile saying, "Hey, that's cool."
Yeah, it is
And
cool.
it does you can engage with the public in a different way.
Yeah.
So I think it's all in keeping with what we're talking about.
Beautiful. We're going to take a look at one right now and point on some of the highlights of it. All right.
Thank you very
Sounds
much.
good.
Yeah, great.
All right. Perfect. So Fred, tell me what this thing does. Tell me what model this is, and tell me what it does.
So this is the Trike Defender, and the company's been around for about 17 years. We started off with consumer electric vehicles, body powered, and then electric vehicles. We have a patroller, which is sort of a light duty vehicle, but this is certainly our heavy duty vehicle. This is our Defender, and not only does it camber or lean into a turn, much like a bike, just like you would ski into a turn or snowboard into a turn. So you can lean into a turn. That's sort of the secret sauce when it comes to what we do.
Right.
And then on top of that,
And that makes it very stable, by the way.
that's exactly right.
Right.
So you can take a turn at speed. You keep stability through the turn. The other thing is that it's a quick swap battery. So that means that I could pop this battery out and pull it out.
Oh, I like that. A little handle on it.
Exactly right.
Yeah. Okay.
And that means that whether it's mileage, even though this thing gets over 30 miles to a charge, it means that you no longer have a mileage consideration because now you can just swap out. When you start to get low, you swap out your battery and move to another one.
What do you think a patrol guy is going to do? I mean, when I was a cop, we didn't always do 30 miles
Yeah.
in a car because you're stopping, you're
Yes.
going. So that might last a whole shift, don't you think?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, lasting an 8-hour shift is certainly part of the equation.
Interesting.
On the other hand, though, battery, the electric technology is a little different than what we're used to in terms of gasoline powered, right? So you have to think about it differently. So having two batteries and the swap part means that you're not putting that extra strain on the battery, taking it down to the wire
Oh, that's
as you
right.
get to the end of your shift, right?
you're
So
stuck halfway between your
that's
posts.
exactly right.
Yeah. Okay. Do you carry an extra battery with it, or do you have to go back to
You
post?
can, yeah.
Okay.
You
Oh,
can,
that's
you can
good.
carry an extra battery. And it means you never have to take the vehicle out of service to charge it.
Right.
That's the key. And then, you add to that the fact that it folds down. So you can fold this thing and you can stick a couple of them in a SUV or whatever. That means it's easy deployment. The fact that it's shaped kind of like an arrowhead or a delta shape.
Yeah.
It's great for crowd control because it sort of naturally parts the sea
Oh, that's a very good point.
in front
yeah.
of you, as well as the fact that you're standing a good foot higher off the ground. So unlike a security bike patrol, for example, where you're actually, on the bike, you're actually less tall than you are standing, or in a golf cart or any of those other, you can stand up and see over the top of the crowd. You can see your partner across the mass of people on the other side.
Yeah, this
so
is very cool.
a stand-up ride is a very big part
So you
of
got
the
some
equation.
lights here, got some
Yep.
lights down here.
Yep.
What other features am I looking at on here?
Well, you've also got rear tail lights,
Okay.
brake lights, left turn, right turn signal. You've got a
It's good audio.
not so much a horn, but a siren.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
I hold that down for a certain amount of time, it'll stay on
Yeah.
until I hit
Yeah,
it
don't
again.
do that.
I've got cruise control. I know we'll cause a little attention here. I've got cruise control.
Oh,
I've got a
cool.
governor on this LED.
Oh, now is that
screen
something
right
I
here.
can program as a supervisor to say
That's-
don't go faster than?
that's
What's the
exactly
top
right.
speed on this thing, by the way?
Top speed on this one is 22 miles per hour.
That's a pretty good clip.
Yeah. So some of our light duty vehicles, they'll top out at 16 miles per hour.
Right.
But I can govern this down so that not only am I governing down the speed, but I can also govern down the power, meaning that I still hit top speed, but it's not as jerky. So if I have, a very top-notch security professional who happens to be a female that weighs $125, she probably doesn't need the same amount of torque
Right.
as somebody that's pushing 300, right? So that's the kind of stuff that really helps. Everything's adjustable. You can add on. There's a glove compartment box that you can attach to the vehicle.
Oh, right in the middle here. Yeah.
Yep,
Okay.
Yep. And now these platforms are nice and big. You can actually ride tandem with someone if necessary. Let's say you had to, you had
In a
a
pinch or something.
lost kid or whatever that you wanted to pick them up and take them with you. My wife and I ride tandem all the time. But also these decks allow for you to be able to put, like, for example, EMTs.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
They carry a lot of gear.
Right, right.
That's right. So being able to carry that gear right here as opposed to having to have it in a trailer behind you. But even if you needed a trailer, any of our vehicles will pull a trailer with, close to 200 pounds in it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
So the amount of torque, and by the way, beginning of next year, this vehicle is coming out in 3-wheel drive.
Oh, wow.
So you'll have a 3-wheel drive option.
Very cool. Fred, give us your website
So it's trikepatrol.com.
and spell it for us. For my
Okay.
nieces and nephews who can't spell.
That's right. Trike is spelled a little differently. It's TRIKKE.com.
Excellent. Thanks for coming on
So
Security Guy Radio.
trike.com.
I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
These are really cool.
Real
I gotta,
pleasure.
I got to get a Security Guy Radio mobile like this. Get it all decked out with my logos and stuff.
Well, a lot
That'd
of
be
people
cool.
ask, I just want to throw in one more thing
Yeah, go
there.
ahead.
A lot of people ask whether or not we offer a training component. So whether it's use of the vehicle and operational aspects of it, but also in terms of maintenance and tech, we have a full training regimen with a division that handles that. So whether it's security or law enforcement, anybody who has a fleet of these things, it's full service.
Beautiful. Thanks for coming on Security Guy Radio.
Thank
Appreciate
you
it.
very much. I appreciate it, Chuck.